WNYC in New York at 10 minutes before 7 o'clock. The Marketplace Morning Report is next, and later on Morning Edition, the team at the company Macienda earned a 2023 James Beard Award for their documentary series Macienda Presents. The series of short films features the stories of home cooks, chefs, and farmers. The idea is to give viewers a look, the company says, at the minds behind the masa. More on that coming up in about 15 minutes. Stay with us. We've got an air quality alert in effect until midnight tonight. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has issued an air quality health advisory for the entire city, along with Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester, Rockland, Orange, and Putnam counties. A toll-free air quality hotline's been established. The number is 1-800-535-1345.
Support for WNYC comes from New York Presbyterian, where data scientists and doctors from Columbia and Weill Cornell Medicine are working together to one day help patients get a better prediction of their future health. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian.
WNYC is independent public media, here to serve you and our entire community. We're listener-supported and proud of it. Financial contributions from listeners like you make our work possible. When you give to WNYC, you're helping to fund the news you count on and the conversations yet to come. Become a member today. Text the letters WNYC to 70101 or visit WNYC.org and click on Donate.
How to turn oil into a global sports franchise.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
I'm David Brancaccio. We're continuing to follow that sports merger that is part golf ball and part bombshell. U.S.-based PGA Tour and Live Golf, backed by Saudi Arabia, are becoming a single firm with the new name yet to be determined. The competing tours had been suing each other, and this ends all that. Jay Monahan is the commissioner of the PGA Tour of America, working to explain how foe became friend.
I recognize everything that I've said in the past and in my prior positions. I recognize that people are going to call me a hypocrite, and anytime I've said anything, I said it with the information I had at that moment, and I said it based on someone that's trying to compete for the PGA Tour and our players.
Our newsroom partners at the BBC spoke with Irish golfer Padraig Harrington, who now plays on the senior PGA Tour, who's also adjusting to a through-the-looking-glass golf world.
Everybody involved was amazed. Everybody in golf, we didn't see it coming. It's the PGA Tour taking a very strong anti-live stance, and for them to change literally overnight, certainly in a week, without anybody knowing. Obviously, there was something going on behind the scenes that nobody seems to want to allude to. That clearly the PGA Tour couldn't keep up the race, the financial race.
This move fits into the broader investment strategy of the fund where Saudi Arabia places much of its oil profits. It's about diversifying to find ways to make money that isn't oil. Adam Crafton is a reporter with the sports news outlet The Athletic.
In the last few years, the Saudi Public Investment Fund has had a multi-trillion-dollar plan to diversify its economy, and sport has become a huge part of that. And amongst that, we've seen major boxing events take place in Saudi Arabia. We've seen star-studded tennis tours. We've also seen Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably one of the most famous footballers in the world, go there. And arguably the biggest story of all now is this merger, or some might say even takeover, of essentially the sport of golf as they merge with the PGA Tour.
Some critics of combining PGA with Live are calling for antitrust regulators to look into the merger. Now to the stock market, stronger recently than the general mood would suggest. At the moment, the S&P 500 index is just a smidgen, 0.2% away from entering a bull market. That's when stocks go up 20%. In this case, from a low hit last October. Let's find out more from Marketplace's Nova Safo.
Yeah, David, many companies that might benefit from the recent advancements in AI have seen their stock prices soar. An advanced chipmaker NVIDIA, for instance, its stock price has more than doubled this year. The information technology sector as a whole is up nearly 35% this year. It's helping lift the S&P. But so is the communications services sector. It's up too, which includes social media companies. The consumer discretionary sector is up. And within that, automakers shares are up 64%. Household durables up 23%. Hotels, restaurants, and leisure up 16%.
Strange, though, right? Almost a bull when about half of corporate economists were thinking we might hit recession this year or next.
Right. And I think what's happening is that a lot of investors are beginning to wonder whether we will actually hit recession, especially now that the Federal Reserve is expected to pause interest rate hikes while the job market is still growing and inflation is slowing, though not as much as we need it to. But overall, these developments have been enough, at least for some investors, to start betting on a stock market recovery. On the other end of that are investors who are concerned that the economy is not out of the woods yet and that the predictions over AI, for example, are overblown. Nevertheless, we clearly are in a more optimistic spot than a year ago around this time, David, when we were discussing whether or not we might be entering a bear market.
All right, thank you. S&P futures at the moment are neither up nor down. NASDAQ futures are down less than 0.1%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by UKG, an HR payroll and workforce management solution designed to help make a fairy tale workplace a reality. UKG, our purpose is people. And by UiPath, providing organizations the UiPath AI-powered business automation platform. More at uipath.com/marketplace. UiPath, the foundation of innovation.
Today's the day the late musical genius Prince would have turned 65. It's also been 30 years since the musician changed his name to what he called an unpronounceable symbol. That symbol, like the artist behind it, has had a lasting effect on the music industry and the way artists define their brands. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes reports.
The symbol is known as a glyph and combines the traditional symbols for male and female.
And it has this additional kind of rococo squiggle in it.
Writer Dan Piepenburg collaborated with Prince on his posthumous memoir, The Beautiful Ones. The name change came about at a time when Prince was unhappy with his longtime record label.
While he was still being paid very generously by Warner Brothers, the conditions of that contract, especially as it pertained to how and when and why he could release his music, those conditions had become kind of onerous. He felt that he no longer had control over his songs.
And he wanted to release them on his own terms, points out writer and tech entrepreneur Anil Dash.
Kind of very famously said that if you don't own your masters, then your masters own you. At the time when he changed his name, he took to, shortly thereafter, writing the word slave on his face, which is a pretty profound statement for a black artist to make.
When will we be paid for the work we've done?
In order to be sure the media could use his new name immediately, floppy disks with the glyph were sent to press outlets. This was 1993. Writer Dan Piepenburg says the use of a symbol was prescient and on brand for Prince.
I mean, already through the 80s, he would abridge YOU to U. He would abridge FOR to the numeral 4. He loved to communicate in this kind of truncated way that prefigured text speak.
Prince's name change also affected how other musicians do business with their labels.
Jay-Z, Rihanna, these are artists who now insist on owning their own masters. Without Prince's name change in 1993, you don't really get to that conversation as quickly.
The artist did eventually revert to using his original name and gained control of his masters in 2014, embracing both ownership and his identity. And my name is Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
You're listening to the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.
WNYC is supported by City National Bank, which believes that business should be personal. City National's relationship managers are committed to knowing their clients' banking needs so they can help achieve their goals. More at cnb.com.